All right, we continue to wrap up the 2022 Firestone Grand Prix of Monterey. Josef Newgarden from 25th to 2nd on a fourth-stop strategy today. It was an incredible show. First runner-up finish of the season, sixth podium of the season, 47th of Josef's career. Also joined by today's winner, Alex Polou in the NTT Data Chip Ganassi Racing Honda, 30-second advantage when it was all said and done at the end of the race, picking up his first win and only win of the season, fourth of his career, sixth podium of the season, and 15th of his career. Again, congratulations, both of you. Will Power will join us here momentarily, along with Tim Cindric, the longtime president at Team Penske. So, Alex, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Is it you saved the best for last here in 2022, huh?
Yeah, I wish I didn't, but yeah, it went that way. So
tell us about your day and staying up front and making that gap that you were able to do there towards the end of the race.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be a tough race even before coming here this weekend because we tested here. Then we kind of had good sessions, bad sessions during the weekend. Yesterday we ended up really good in the warm-up. Super happy with the car today, this morning, sorry. And then, yeah, with that engine penalty, we just knew it was going to be a bit tougher, at least the first stint. But to be honest, yeah, our car was on rails today. Didn't struggle with tire deck like we did at Portland and the last couple of races. So I don't know, but then I'm happy that we ended this way.
It was a run that got you back into the top 5 in points. Technically a tie for 4th, although Scott McLaughlin gets you on the win. So finished top 5 in points after a championship year last year. 2 good signs for you?
Not really.
No, you'll take the championship. Yeah, I got it.
I think we had the ability and everything we needed or more. So I think we didn't really maximize the year we had. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I knew we were gonna have years like that, seasons like that. There was a bit more drama than we wanted, but happy to finish here. And hopefully we can start the same way next year.
Again, Josef Newgarden driving the Hitachi Team Penske Chevrolet, 25th to 2nd. I lost track of how many passes there were in the corkscrew, but you were clearly a man on a mission, and it was a credible show.
Well, we tried today for sure. You know, we gave our best, as we always do. And, you know, Alex was tough to catch today. You know, I think he just was incredible, particularly on the last couple stints. He did an amazing job. So it was going to be hard to get to him. I really wanted to. You know, we got all the way to 2nd, and I'm like, we just need one more spot. But he seemed a little out of reach today. So tremendous job by them. You know, happy we were able to, you know, fight back to where we did. You know, it was a tough day, and we knew we had to fight. And ultimately, you know, we come up short in this championship. We've got to, you know, be in a different position next year and fight a lot harder so that we can, you know, hopefully be in a much more favorable position coming into this weekend. And I believe we can do that. You know, it's been a really tough year. You know, it's been good in a lot of ways, but it's also been really negative in a lot of others. So I'm excited for a reset. Excited to come back next year, and I know you know, we've got the team to do the job.
Let's open it up for questions here in person. Oh, there you are, Barry. Let's start with Jenna Fryer.
Hi, one for each of you. Josef, you've talked openly this week about what a struggle this year has been for you personally. And you also, it was one of the very first things you said on the broadcast. How are you feeling right now?
Ooh, you know, in a lot of ways, proud. You know, I think I'm overwhelmingly proud of our team. You know, we came up short in the 2 car, but at the end of the day, the team excelled tremendously this year. Outside of Indianapolis, you know, I don't think there's a team that was in, you know, touching distance to Team Penske. And so I'm filled with a lot of pride because, you know, I think the world of everybody on this team, not just the 2 car, but everyone on the 12, everyone on the 3. I mean, we're all very close. And so, you know, I'm sad for the 2 car crew, but I'm also elated for the 12 car crew because there's a lot of really good people there, and really a win for one car is a win for all of us. Obviously, we're all competitive, and we want to personally be the winners, but you know, when we win as a team, it is big for everybody. So I'm filled with a lot of pride, but I'm also filled with a little bit of relief. You know, I'm kind of happy to come in into this off-season reset, recharge, and then, you know, figure out a way to just hit everybody harder next year, and I know we can do that. You know, the other overwhelming positive in my mind is I know we can do better than this year. I know we can. And when we put it together, I'm just telling you, just watch out, because when we put it together, it's going to be big.
You sound a lot like perfectionist Joseph, which you seem to think is a little bit of a problem. So how do you balance it?
Yeah, it can be, but I've been that way my whole life, and I've figured out how to manage it up to this point. So I think it probably needs a little bit of tuning this off season, but we know how to do that.
And Alex, congratulations. Also after the race on the television broadcast, you seemed less committal about where you might be driving next year, whereas in July you said, I will be a McLaren racer. So I'm just wondering where you're at right now.
Yeah, I'm there waiting to see what happens, as all of you guys. So fortunately, I don't have anything to share. I think everything is moving to the right direction. I don't know if it's going to take one day, 1 week, or 1 month, but hopefully everything is going to be solved soon. So yeah, as I said, I think I don't have anything to say clear, but everything is moving the right direction.
We'll go Nate, then Bruce.
One for each. For Joseph first, I guess looking back at the spin in qualifying, I mean, you have this great comeback, but Will finishes third, and Polou seemed like he was kind of untouchable. Did that ultimately not matter as much as it might have? You guys did everything you possibly could to kind of maximize what you had, and it still might not have been enough even if you hadn't spun.
I think it's a different day if you start on pole, for sure. That gives us a very different picture, right? We're going to run a different race, and we're going to run it from no deficit. I mean, we started this race at last, so we started at a big deficit. It's hard to predict. If we didn't have the deficit, I don't know if we would have had enough to beat this guy today. I mean, he was stellar, and there's no doubt about it. So I don't want to marginalize what he did, but it's a different day when you start first. We wouldn't have had that deficit to make up. So I don't know how that would have turned out. I don't know if it would have kind of changed the 12 cars program. Maybe. Really, we win the pole, we win the day. I mean, all I need is for Power to finish fourth, and that seems pretty doable, right? So ultimately, the spin was almost the nail in the coffin this weekend. It just was. We didn't need that to happen, and it was such a silly thing to happen too. It wasn't like some grandiose problem. There's one curb you don't want to touch, and I accidentally touched it, and it created a big issue. So. Yeah, hard to say how it would have come out if we put the thing on pole yesterday, but I would have rather have done that and seen what happened than have to come from the back today.
Thanks. And Alex, win by 30 seconds after starting 11th or whatever. I mean, best car you've ever had at Ganassi, you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was so tough to drive today and all weekend here at Laguna. The grip level from the tarmac is so low that you're fighting all the time, so it never feels like you have a good car, even when you're leading by that much. But in comparison to others, obviously, yeah, it was the biggest margin that I ever got, so it felt really good. Have to say, strategy and all pit stops were really good as well. So yeah, it felt amazing. Hopefully, it's not the last car that is as good as what we had today.
And we saw Chip standing behind you in the winner's circle with a smile on his face, and we've heard that you talked to him maybe this morning. You talked to him at Portland. How are things with Chip these days?
Yeah, I mean, we talk. We talked in Portland. We talked before that. You guys saw, I think, Nashville was it. Talked this morning. So
Talking about 2023.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's a chance then you think you could be driving for him next year?
Yeah, we'll see when I know. I wish I could tell you guys like, hey, yeah, I'm doing this, but I don't have an answer yet. Maybe tomorrow.
Let's go Bruce,
Maybe
David,
tomorrow
and then
will
back
be.
with Chris. Yep.
Joseph, did you have anything left? I mean, you look like you gave everything you had just to get back up to the front.
Yeah, that was everything I had today. I think we were going to be, we were short ultimately to Alex, no doubt. We're going to have to reassess and figure out how we make ourselves a little bit better to the deficit that we had to Alex on those last couple stints. I've got some ideas already. I think if we were going to run this race again, I already know what we'd try. And if we start up further, then that changes the game too. So I'm hopeful for another shot. But, as far as what we put together today, that was everything we had, no doubt.
And the start of the race, when you were back there, you were passing guys like it was a video game. Did it feel that way as fast as you were picking them off?
I was just old school driving. I was going back to junior days. You know, what happens happens. I'm just going as hard as I can.
And Alex, 30-second margin of victory. I mean, that just doesn't happen in IndyCar racing. Does that even surprise you that car was that perfect today?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially with all the issues we had the past races, like Portland, we were up there, we were strong, but suffered tire deck, which we knew there was something wrong on the car. We changed tubs for this last race, so yeah, you never know what was going on, but for sure, I was surprised. To be honest, we were strong in the warm up, but I didn't know if we were that strong, especially on consecutive laps. Actually, before the race and even yesterday, we had an event with NTT, and Joseph was there, and I said that I didn't have the pace that they had on U-Star. So I don't know, but everything went super well today.
We'll go Chris, then David.
Joseph, what made the corkscrew your preferred place to pass today? And did the team remind you at all that, hey, teammate passing here when you're going after Will and the corkscrew as well?
I was just so good off six, you know. I think this whole weekend just been able to get big runs on people, and so it made it kind of an opportune spot to pass. And I think that's why it was, you know, one of the best places to get a pass done was just the strength of our car in that particular corner. You know, I think it's, you know, it swings around this track. There's, you know, some people that are really good in the mid speed, some people are extremely good off low speed. So I think you just got to play to your strength, and our car in the mid speed corners was just really phenomenal all weekend. So I think that's why we were able to kind of capitalize in that area.
And any extra care going after Will in that area as well, or was it just as if it was like anybody else?
Yeah, it's just normal racing like anybody else.
Thanks.
David Mosher Lopez.
Alex, sorry. Alex, I wanted, like, you finished 35 seconds ahead of the highest Arrow McLaren SP. Is it going to be hard to walk away from a car as brilliant as this to go and drive for that?
We'll see what happens, but I wish I was 35 seconds ahead every race. I mean, last weekend in Portland, we finished 12th and everybody was overtaking me. So it's IndyCar. It's not like every weekend you have the best car or the worst car, as we could see. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Did it take some weight off your mind knowing that you could just go for it and not think about championships?
Not really. I mean, I wish I had that pressure of fighting for the championship and points in my mind. I love that. I felt sad coming to this weekend. When I said that going to Portland, we were going to have a chance, I really thought I had a chance, and that didn't happen. So I was really sad. I wish I had, that I couldn't sleep last night because I was thinking about points, but that was not like that this year. So yeah, we'll try again next year.
Okay. And Joseph, I wanted to ask to you, you said it's been a very taxing year. I wondered if you could be a bit more specific. Is it because, like, for every win you got, there then seemed to be a knockback? And also, where do you feel you could possibly improve to make, you know, you said you would come back even harder in 2023. I just wondered if you saw anything within yourself that you needed to get better at.
Look, you know, David, if I can figure out how to predict yellows, that would be a magical find in the off season. That's the number one thing I want to figure out, is how do you predict these things? If we had that figured out, this year would be very different. And, you know, a lot of times that's how it goes. I mean, it's IndyCar racing. They're hard to predict. You know, things go your way one moment and they go against you the next, and you just got to kind of ride the waves. But, you know, some years in particular just seem to be bad stretches. And this year was most taxing because of the roller coaster. It was one weekend we'd be winning the race, the next weekend it was going sideways for one reason or another. And I wouldn't put any negative or problem on anyone within the team. I don't think we're going to go into the off season and say, hey, we got to change a bunch of stuff. It's just timing wise it was just a really tough year timing wise. And so mentally it was a little bit of a drain because, you know, the more success you find, the more you demand perfection. from each race, and so the more taxing it is when it's not going correct. But I don't think it's anything that we could predict or really alter. I think we just need a little better timing here. But everyone did their job this season. I'm really proud of everybody. It's not like we need a lot of changes. I think we called good races. We pitted the car well. It's reliable as you can expect. I mean, there's always, one or two things that are going to happen, but I think we have really reliable cars. So I'm not going to be demanding a lot of changes. It's just, need a little bit of momentum to roll our way consistently next year.
Go Jenna, then take a couple from Zoom. Oh, and then one more. Go ahead, Jenna.
Hey, Joseph, sort of like big picture as a veteran, this season had fifth tightest, not five of you made it the tightest championship race since 2003. It's like this crazy, silly season going on. I don't know why. All these things that have happened, and the product is so good, and the competition is so good, and Bus Bros is good. Where do you rank?
I thought you didn't like Bus Bros.
I didn't.
In the early days, you weren't a fan.
Listen, I'm a creative contributor. Brian will tell you to Bus Bros, to an upcoming idea. Okay. So anyway, just what kind of season do you think this was? Penske dominated, but yet it was all over the place.
I mean, it's an exciting product. It really is. Of course, I want to sit here and sell the sport and say how great it is. It's the most competitive, compelling product that you're going to find in motorsports. But I think that's all true. When you tune in and you really watch and you get engaged, it's extra exciting. I mean, it is hella exciting for a motorsports fan. I don't know that you can match it. I really don't. And that's not to discredit other forms. I'm a racer. I love watching Formula One. I love watching NASCAR, sports cars. It's not to try and reduce others to build ourselves up. But, when I just speak about our product, I really think it's the most compelling product out there. So if anything, we just got to keep continuing to amplify the product, because the more people that really get engaged and understand the personalities and understand how IndyCar racing works and what makes it interesting and fun, the more we educate people and show them it, I think the bigger it's going to get. I truly believe that. We don't have to have a better product. We just have to keep selling it, and figure out ways to do that better and better. And so I think we're learning. This year's been a big learning year for Penske Entertainment, and I think they're on it and they're committed. And, there's no one better to be backing you than Roger Penske, and I think he is absolutely committed to the sport. So we just need to make sure we don't flatten out here. Whatever we learned this year, whatever was positive, we just need to double down and keep growing it, because it is absolutely the best damn product on the planet. There's no doubt. I have no doubt about it.
Go ahead.
For Alex.
Did he? No way. Great. Right on.
Go ahead.
For Alex in Spanish. Alex, las últimas 32 carreiras, usted estava disputando el título, ano passado e este ano. E este ano, você foi para uma carreira tudo ou nada, só vencer ou vencer como nos tempos de Dale Coyne. Qual é a diferença de uma corrida como essa com relação ao campeonato? E onde foi o seu ponto fraco na temporada de 2022? O Josef teve o problema em Iowa com a quebra da suspensão. E qual foi o pior resultado de Alex Polou? Foi o toque com Marcus Ericsson em Road America ou a Indy 500?
Joseph, you got to follow up with that answer too.
I know. In Spanish, right?
Please, por favor.
Yeah. Sí, a ver, yo creo que ha sido un año complicado, pero al final venir a la última carrera con opciones de campeonato no ha cambiado mucho la mentalidad. Ojalá hubiera tenido la oportunidad de luchar por el campeonato y pensar en puntos y tener esa presión, pero no ha sido así. Así que seguiremos luchando. ¿Cuál ha sido el peor momento? No lo sé, sinceramente. Creo que todo el mundo ha tenido malos momentos, como Josef en las 500, en Iowa, y otras personas han tenido muchos malos momentos. Yo creo que nuestro problema ha sido no ser capaces de ser fuertes todos los fines de semana, como Portland, Indy Road Course. Ahí es donde perdimos muchos puntos. Así que nada, a tomar unas vacaciones y empujar más fuerte.
Gracias. Marshall Pruitt in the back.
In English, please, Joseph. You had a interesting start to your year with a brand new race engineer. You guys won a whole bunch of races together, which isn't the norm for a brand new driver and engineer combo, especially Eric, first time as a race engineer in IndyCar. Can you just talk about the season with him? Because, good Lord, this doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, it's been a tremendous year for our group. You know, I think Eric did a really stellar job. I think the strength of our team was that, you know, we had no egos. You know, everybody contributed, and we were all team players. You know, especially Eric. Eric leaned on everybody as much as he needed to, and we leaned on him. And I think that's what made us strong this year. You know, we didn't have any aggressive personalities where one person was trying to lead over the other. We were just trying to maximize each other and support each other. And so whether that's, you know, Eric Likely, or it was Luke Mason, or it was James Schnabel, you know, a lot of the people, the core people on the 2-car, or it's, you know, you look at Chad or Travis. I mean, everybody was working together as a unit. And I think that makes a big difference when you have as many new people as we had. Because, you know, the pitfalls when you have as many new people as we did on our team is when you have someone that's just trying to overly aggressively take the charge, you know, sometimes it can go sideways with inexperience. So I think because we had so much inexperience on the car, the way we leaned on each other and utilized each other is what made us strong. So I'm very proud of the effort. You know, I think we maximized the performance side of what we were doing. I don't think there was any deficiencies there whatsoever. You know, obviously timing wasn't kind to us for the most part this year, but when it came to, you know, excelling within the performance and what we could control, I think we nailed it. So I'm very proud of Eric and the entire team. I think they did a tremendous job.
Thanks, Marshall. David.
Wanted to ask also about how much of a difference you feel the temperatures made today in terms of how your cars performed, because I don't know what the temperature was like when you tested and were quickest in the test here, Alex, but was it similar enough, and that's why you went with the setup that you went with today?
Not really. It was a bit colder, so it was even a bit easier on tires and stuff. But yeah, we didn't change much. We tried a couple of stuff that worked at Portland. We struggled in practice 1, like couldn't make the reds work. Then practice 2 was fine. Qualifying, we had some up and downs all the time. Like I think we went through by nothing and always P6. So I don't know, something clicked this morning. We made some changes, so the car was not as the test. Obviously, the test helped a ton. We were able to try some stuff, some ideas that we had that we learned from other teams during the season, and some worked, some didn't. So yeah, I was super happy when we tested here. But these guys still made it work without testing here, which is something we need to get there, you know, like we show up in Portland and they were super strong, and we said, oh, maybe it's because they tested here. Let's go to Lagoon and show them how to go fast here. But they got the pole. They were super fast. So yeah, I think we just need to work a bit more and make sure we can close the gap.
Let's wrap up one off the Zoom. Fernando A. Alonso has been patiently waiting. I'm going to guess it's in Spanish. Fernando, go ahead, sir, off the Zoom. You might be on mute, Fernando. Uh-oh, we can't hear you.
¿Podrías decir qué aprendizaje te deja este año como campeón?
I hear you. Go ahead. Can you repeat the question? Repeat the por favor.
Sorry, I don't know if you heard me before. I just want to say to Alex, ¿cuál es el aprendizaje que te dejó este año como campeón?
Mucho. La verdad que aprendimos muchísimo el año pasado. Este año creo que aún más. Hemos pasado buenos momentos como hoy. Hemos pasado buenos momentos en street courses al principio de la temporada y hemos pasado muy malos momentos. Así que la verdad que es una pena ya no poder ser el campeón del año pasado. Ahora solo somos de 2021, así que bueno, nos ha durado un año y nos va a hacer trabajar más fuerte para el año que viene.
One short for Joseph. Do you have something in your head like giving rounds to thought about what you have to change this year in order to become champion?
You know, for sure, we needed to have a more consistent season. There's no doubt. I think the peak performance was there all year. We just didn't have the consistency, and that ultimately is what, you know, put us in an unfavorable position when we came here. So if we can clean that up, I have no doubt we can, challenge for the championship again next year.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Fernando. Unless there's a follow-up. Yep, we do have one. Nathan Brown.
Joseph, did the race, in terms of your guys' strategy, moving up the field, that first chunk of the race when you were able to jump from 25th to 5th and eventually 2nd, did that go about how you were hoping it did, or like how do you feel like this race could have played out any differently for you?
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking earlier, the best scenario would have been to qualify on pole yesterday. If I didn't have the error, I think it's a different conversation when you start from the front. It's hard to predict. I think Alex had a superior day today. He really did. So even starting on pole, it would have been questionable of, could we have, toppled him today? But it's an unknown. You got to start up front to see. But from where we started, I think it's about as good as you can expect. I felt like we had one of the best cars in the field all weekend. And when we had the opportunity to race people, we were better than them, and we were able to pass them. And so it went about as I expected, but probably a little bit better early on. I felt like we were able to make more progress than I predicted we could in the first stint. So that was probably the most surprising bit of the race.
Was just how you had to push and charge to get up through the field? Is that ultimately why you ended up having to make that extra stop?
I think we were kind of committed to that strategy. We had a tire difference and we wanted to play to it. And so I think that's why we made the attempt that we did to still run a 4-stop. It still wasn't enough. And we were better earlier in the race. We were really good for the first half. And then the second half, I think we got smoked a bit more by Alex. And we just could not maximize those final 2 stints. So we really need to look at that, because I think the strength in the beginning of the race was so good and we lost a bit of it towards the end. And if we didn't lose as much of it, I think we might have been able to make more use of that 4-stop. But ultimately, we were still just shy on pace, to Alex. And I think that was the story at the end. We were just shy on pace.
We'll take one more off Zoom. Rodrigo, I missed you earlier. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and I'm sure you have a question for Alex.
Well, thank you so much, Dave. Can I ask Alex in Spanish, please?
Por favor.
Hola, Alex. En primer lugar, felicitaciones por la victoria. 30 segundos de diferencia, como dijeron los colegas, es poco común en IndyCar y el auto se veía perfecto. Entonces, solo quería preguntarte si es este tipo de carreras el que puede hacer a un piloto repensar las cosas cuando tal vez quiere cambiar de aires.
Ha sido un día perfecto. La verdad, nunca habíamos ganado con este margen. Creo que es muy difícil en IndyCar, pero teníamos todo ha funcionado como debía. Así que nada, seguimos intentando solucionar las cosas. No sé cuándo se va a saber. Estamos intentando que sea pronto para poder estar concentrados y poder relajarnos en la postemporada. Pero ojalá fueran todas las carreras así. La verdad que no lo son. Pero ojalá pudiéramos tener esta superioridad que hemos tenido hoy.
Gracias, Alex. Un abrazo y congrats to Joseph too.
Thank you. Gracias.
Thanks, Rodrigo. Well, there we go. Well done. We'll take a break here.